time in this place. When you sang, you could feel it close. In buildings made out of stones and ghosts, you told me just to keep this a secret, a word that turns into dust when you speak it. You write about a spirit in your stories, came down to tell another story. And now we build our cities higher than the heavens, and tell the world to watch what happens. Break into cracks all the smooth surfaces and make sense of our time in this place.
Welcome to the Whyte Museum and our exhibition, Snapshots. It's our participation in the Exposure Festival that has enabled us to pull off this wonderful exhibition of photography that spans the early 1800s straight through to the current day. From its inception, the Whyte Museum has always collected photography, both as an archival record, but also as an art form. And we're really pleased to have a large body of work to select from for this exhibition. Further, we have a large collection of photographic equipment, and in this exhibition, we've been able to highlight areas with cameras that we have within the collection. Starting from the Vox camera, field camera, over that you will see later, and ending up with an iPhone camera that you will also hear about later as well. Joining us today, we're very pleased to have Ernie Kroeger, Kate Riordon, and Debra Cameron. And our first guest is Kate Riordon. Kate has been on and off at the Whyte since 2012 when she started working in our gift store and also with visitor services. And we now have her as an archival assistant on a Canada Works program where she has been digitizing Catherine Whyte's letters and other items for the archive collection. Kate has been looking at our photographic collection quite seriously over time and has learned quite a bit about the history of photography. She will be talking to us today about the evolution of photography.
Hello, I'm Kate Riordon. I'm the digital technician here at the Whyte Museum of the Canadian Rockies, and today we're going to talk about photography. The really great thing about photography is that it can be used both for scientific and artistic practices, and this is something that really has not changed much in the last entire history of photography. Back when it was first sort of conceived in the 1880s, it created this massive sort of almost controversy and this huge amount of discourse about who is going to be able to use photography and for what purposes. Would it be used by scientists to record and document the world around them, or would it be used by artists to create and manipulate our environment? Mary Shaffer Warren is a really good example of being able to sort of blur the lines between what is scientific and what is artistic. When she was taking photographs like this one here, she was doing it in the pursuit of science. She was working alongside her husband, Charles Shaffer, as he documented botanical material here in the Canadian Rockies. But what she was doing was documenting colorful objects in black and white. The technology at the time just didn't allow for what we would consider to be realistic visual material. So what she was able to do is go in after the photograph had been taken and add this color to it. And by doing so, by making that little edit, she created something beautiful to look at. It became this artistic piece more than just sort of a scientific kind of documentation. Is it science? Is it art? It's both. It's great. Likewise, today we're still able to sort of make that call, whether it be pure documentation, you go somewhere, you take a photograph, and that's it, or you can play with it a little bit. Maybe you get home and you decide that you don't like the way that the sky looks, or that your camera has picked up colors that were different from what you actually saw when you were there. So you're able to go into Photoshop or another editing program and make these little changes. Now, has that changed what you've done from perhaps maybe a clinical scientific documentation, or has it become art? Is it both? Sure, why not? Likewise, technology has allowed us to make these changes and perceive sort of how our technology is changing what we see a lot faster. Someone like Mary Shaffer wouldn't have known that the shading was off or that she didn't have the right kind of light until after she'd gotten home and developed her photography. Now we can do it instantaneously. We can pull it up on our screens, on our phones, on our DSLR cameras, and we can see it right away and make those changes in real time. Speaking of cameras, I know that I'm a lot more happy with my DSLR or my smartphone than I would have been, I think, carrying something like this around in the Rockies with me. This camera would have been used by pretty much all photographers in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It's made of wood and metal, and it would have taken glass plates, and you would have wanted at least someone else who wasn't you to carry it, or even better, perhaps a horse, to take it around the mountains with you. But now, you know, we get to use these much lighter, these much smaller machines to capture our adventures. Likewise, our updated technology has made it a lot easier for us to share the photographs that we take, whether or not we edit them or not. Let's get real, we're probably editing them. Nowadays, we use platforms like Instagram or Facebook, or we're using personal blogs or whatever you have to share your pictures and your view of the world with the world. Back in even as late or as early as late, late for us, early for them, as the 1950s, people would have used something like this. This looks like a tin can with a lens, but this is what they called a magic lantern. And this little device would have been lit by a kerosene lamp, a candle, a light bulb, to project an image onto a wall so that the photographer or whoever owned that photograph would be able to share it with their friends. So someone like Mary Shaffer, the Vox family, the Whytes would have gone out, they would have taken their photographs, come home, had them developed, added color or not, personal preference, and then used something like this in their living room usually, or sometimes if it was for a presentation, they could do it in a community hall, project it onto a clean white surface like a sheet or a wall, and showed their photographs to their friends. Something like this would have taken time and effort. They would have had to make up like a script. If it was something for a production, say it's the Canadian Pacific Railway, perhaps they would hire a band to provide background music. And something like this would have been able to share photography with many more than whoever just came to your house to look at them. Nowadays, of course, we take a photograph and the entire world can see it the moment that it's done. So maybe it's up to that audience, whether it be science or art, which technology is better, who owns it, it's up to them. If you're interested in seeing an example of what a magic lantern show might have looked like, there are a few available on our website in the digital exhibit. illuminating lantern slides, including one with a script that was written by Catherine Robb Whyte during World War I that was played for our veterans overseas in England.
Also featured in the exhibition are the works of the Harmon family. Over here we have photographs by Byron Harmon, his son Don Harmon, and Don's daughter Carol Harmon. The Harmon family have been in Banff for 4 generations, and their photographic prowess is here for all of us to enjoy. And as we move through this exhibition, we're now standing in front of an image by Bruno Engler taken in 1961, and it's climbers on the south peak of Mount Victoria. And right here are the 2 little climbers going up this incredible peak. Moving farther down the wall, we reach a lovely image by Nicholas Morant, a 1960s photo of trail riding in Alberta. This last image on the wall is by Douglas Curran, and it's a 1985 image, but it's wonderful because it exemplifies what people do when they come to the mountains. They come to camp, they come to climb, and they come to ski. Our next special guest is Ernie Kruger, who joined us via Zoom to talk about this wonderful photograph of his titled Dead Bear. Ernie Kroeger is an artist, educator, and a photographer whose images have been widely shown in solo and group exhibitions across Canada and in Europe. He holds an MFA from the University of Calgary and a BFA from the University of Manitoba. As an educator, he's taught at the University of Manitoba, the Alberta College of Art and Design, and the University of Calgary. He's also taught at the Banff Centre and for 15 years at Thompson Rivers University in Kamloops, BC, where he recently retired with the distinction as Professor Emeritus. Ernie's work has been included in several public collections, such as the Alberta Foundation for the Arts, the Art Gallery of Alberta, the Canada Council Art Bank, the Canadian Museum of Contemporary Photography, and here at the Whyte Museum. Kruger is also the recipient of a number of awards and grants, most noticeably the Banff Centre's Barbara Spohr Award in Photography. Ernie, welcome to the Whyte Museum via Zoom.
Well, thank you very much, Anne. Great to be with you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
So let's talk about your wonderful image, the Dead Bear, which is in the Whyte Museum collection. You know, whenever visitors come to the Whyte and they see this image, they always gasp, like horrifying gasp. But then they launch into this wonderful environmental conversation about, you know, how we live and respond to wildlife within the Bow Corridor. Can you tell us how this came to be for you?
Yeah, of course. So I guess there is a little bit of a story connected with it. I took it in the fall, I guess it was in September of 1993. And, you know, all these funny coincidences. It was early in the morning and I was driving to Calgary to teach a class in photography. And it was actually my first day of teaching at the art college. And I was driving past Canmore and I was around Dead Man's Flats. And, you know, I was pretty focused on getting to Calgary. But then I had driven past this, something caught my eye. It was just this black lump kind of in the corner of my eye. So I stopped the car and I backed up and stopped to look what it was. And I couldn't believe my eyes, you know, a dead bear. I mean, it was just the strangest thing I'd ever seen. So I got out of the car and luckily I had my little snap shooter with me. That's an Olympus XA. it's just a tiny little camera, as you can see, and only had a few minor adjustments that I could make. But anyways, I used the camera, did my focusing and so on. And I snapped off about 4 shots, I guess, from different angles. And this was the best one. And, luckily, I just had, ordinary tourist film, but luckily I got a good negative.
So Ernie, how did you have this printed? I mean, this is a very large format print.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so it's gone through a number of versions. And the first time I printed it, I had it's a 35 millimeter negative, just a small little negative. And I actually put it in the enlarger and I made a big print, and that worked fine. But for this version, when digital technology came along, I scanned the negative and then worked on the image on the computer and then had it printed as a digital print. So this is the print that you have is a digital chromogenic, a digital color print.
Well, it's wonderful, and we really, we absolutely love exhibiting it. As I said earlier, the commentary we received from it is quite spectacular.
Yeah, great. Yeah, there's another little anecdote I realized that goes with it, and I because this picture didn't really fit anywhere in the work that I was doing. It was kind of a one-of. It was a little bit later that the Banff Center had a photography contest, the Banff International Photography Competition. And I've never ever entered a photograph into a competition, but they had a category that was, I wrote it down here. It was best photo on mountain environment. And so I thought, well, I'll enter, see what happens. And I won. So the photograph you have was one of the winners along the way of the Banff International Photography Festival.
Well, we're really thrilled that you did enter the festival and the contest, and that we here at the Whyte have a version of this image. It's wonderful. Thank you, Ernie, for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in the near future.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Anne, and good luck with the exhibition. I hope a lot of people come to check it out.
Thank you so much for being with us. Bye. And I'd like to introduce Debra Cameron, who is a local Bow Valley artist who does absolutely spectacular things with her iPhone. She has moved from working with shadow boxes filled with horticultural elements and found objects to creating masterly pieces with her iPhone as the major tool. Deb, will you please tell us how you moved from hands-on shadow boxes to an iPhone?
Thanks, Anne. That's a great question. I went from creating 3D pieces, boxes with floral elements. I was inspired by the Luxton Garden And that had a show approximately, I think it's like 15 years ago here at the Whyte. And so I've always used a floral element in my work. And as the iPhone technology, there wasn't even iPhones then. So as the iPhone technology improved over the years, I started experimenting with the iPhone. I thought this would be a good way to create my work. And I had the idea of doing composite images, similar to Dutch masters' paintings, where they would take all these different flowers, put them together in one vase, and then paint them. But, so you could do anything. And I work in Photoshop, so you could actually go in and I digitally cut everything out, and I arrange them kind of in a similar way. And it's all very haphazard. It's very random. And the great thing about working in Photoshop is that you can just, with the push of a button, delete it, start over again. Where in a painting or something, you can't do that. And also the iPhone is the camera on here. I just got an iPhone 12 mini, and the camera on here is exceptional. So I've been working on a new series right now, and the quality is wonderful. And I just love the idea of being able to layer things and create different effects. I like to create moods, but I'm still using the floral imagery. I keep going back to that all the time. I'm not sure why, but it really appeals to me. I've tried other things, but then I just don't get the results that I like. So then I keep going back to that. Probably because it's so colorful and flowers are wonderful. And I still use the Luxton Garden to go and photograph flowers in the summer because it's such a fabulous garden. And I also worked in a flower shop, so I had access to all kinds of flowers as well. So anyway, that's why I'm working on continuing to use the iPhone. I don't see me changing anytime soon. The fact that the iPhone is immediate, right? You can just take a photo. You don't have to set things up on your camera. And I like to be spontaneous with it, so it's always in my pocket. If I see something I like, boom, you just take the photo. So it's immediacy of it that I really, really like. And the quality comes out really, really well. And yeah, so that's why I'm using this wonderful little technology with one of my photos as a screensaver.
Thank you, Deb. That was great. For our at-home viewers, if you're interested in seeing Deb's work, please visit her website at deborahanncameron.com. And just for your interest, these are her masks. Aren't they great with her design on them? Thank you for joining us for our exhibition Snapshot. I certainly hope that a lot of you have had the opportunity to visit other Exposure Festival exhibitions in Alberta, either online or in person. It's a wonderful festival, and the Whyte Museum is always thrilled to be a part of it. Thank you so much for being with us. We can't wait to see you in person, and stay safe, stay healthy, and stay sane.